And Jazz Houston tonight is presenting Joe Sample, a celebration. It's a concert to honor Joe and the Crusaders. And this morning we've got some really exciting guests to introduce you to. We're here with Stix Hooper, one of the original members of the Jazz Crusaders, and Vincent Gardner, who's the artistic director for Jazz Houston. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. It's good to be here.
It is
good to be back here in Houston.
What first impressions being back, Stix? It's been,
well,
what, 15,
a lot of changes.
years?
That's the first impression.
Yeah.
But my impression is that there's a lot of progressions that has happened that's been very, very positive in this city. In particular with things like what Vincent is doing to elevate and expand the vision of jazz and the appreciation of jazz, America's only original music that was created in this country.
And Vincent, why was it so important to bring Joe Sample and the Crusaders, you know, the music back to the forefront for the people?
Well, when you have, first of all, a homegrown group like the Crusaders from here, from Houston, Texas, that has done so much to showcase what the music is about and always make sure that it felt right. And that's the biggest thing in music is feeling. And to make sure that all of their music, no matter what they played, when they were playing straight ahead jazz music, when they were playing more popular tunes, it always had that right feeling to it. And for them to be able to teach the world that through all of the great recordings that they made, that was something that needs to be celebrated right here where it started. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to do it.
Can you talk about some of the differences over the years and the styles that you played, Stix?
Well, the styles were a lot of times, I've always approached it from a rhythmical aspect because of the blues influence here in this city, in the South, you know. We always had the feeling, like he said, first. And then the harmonic structure was something to enhance those things and make it a little bit more in the musical horizon. But that's what it is. But to keep the feeling, the rhythm and blues feeling, and to keep that because that has such a specialness about it.
Yeah, I feel like there was a time in the early 70s, maybe 1970, I listened back to some of your music where it really turned funky.
Yeah, that's true.
And what was kind of the inspiration for that, or what changed the style in that era?
Well, what changed the style, like I was relating to the jazz movement, I mean the feeling movement, because 2 and 4, if you count me as a musician, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. That's basic on blues or any feeling, and that's the feeling that appeals to the world. Everybody, whether you're in Rome, Tokyo, Budapest, you know, Paris, or whatever we've done. When you get that going and then enhance it with creativity of harmonics and craftsmanship on the instrument, it becomes something that people can be more acceptable.
Would you consider jazz to be one of the most versatile genres in that sense?
Oh, it is. I mean, jazz music started from, first of all, from the contributions of a lot of people coming together in New Orleans. And it's always had that kind of collaborative, accepting element to it. So jazz music has integrated grooves and feelings from all types of world music into it all throughout the years, and it continues to do that. And so it is. It's still ripe for accepting whatever wants to come into the feeling of the music. It can be a part of it.
Stix, how important is it for new jazz artists to maybe not honor, maybe honor is too strong of a word, but to at least respect who came before them and the styles that came before them?
Well, they should, because when you move into a digital university, if I might say, there's a certain void there that doesn't give them the opportunity to relate to what happened and why, you know. And right. So, because music started with people playing their instrument with craftsmanship, you know, and because of that, is how the music developed. They should be aware of that and to realize in the electronic era and as we approach the AI and all that stuff, that's a void there that I wouldn't say shouldn't be avoided. I think the world should progress there. But the point is, I think really that the kids should be, and the young generation should be aware of that to perpetuate.
So does it make you a little nervous that we might be losing the musicianship from music in general?
Well, I don't want to take it quite that far,
okay.
But I think it is definitely a void there because the requirement for success is not based on craftsmanship or based on being able to have individual expression coming from you as a person, in which jazz gives that. Because Dizzy Gillespie, who's one of the greatest jazz musicians, said, jazz is the ultimate place of freedom.
Beautifully said. Vincent, I want to talk about the show tonight, and we'll tell people where it is and how they can get tickets. But what about the music tonight? Is there a certain era we're featuring? What is your plan for tonight?
Well, we're doing a little bit of everything, from some of the Jazz Crusaders' earliest things from their earliest records on Pacific Jazz to the last composition that Joe and Stix worked on together. And so we have a little cross-section of all of it. And I was fortunate to find a group of recordings that Joe Sample did with a band from Germany called the NDR Big Band. Mm-hmm. And I got a few of those arrangements that he did in 2016 for that big band. And then I've written a couple myself, and a couple of other people have written a few. And we're going to do a mix of all of those. And we have two that are in the original instrumentation of the Crusaders with just trombone and saxophone, quintet tunes, one of which Stix is going to play on.
Interesting. So we'll put up the graphics so folks know exactly what's going on, because it is tonight, Thursday, at 7 o'clock, Zilka Hall, which is at the Hobby Center, and folks can still get tickets by going to the website. So for those that listen to the Crusaders, maybe growing up, they know their music well, this is going to be a special treat tonight. Is that right?
It is, because you're going to hear a lot that you know, and you probably will hear a few things that you didn't realize that they did. And that's the thing about their records, is that their records, especially as they got into the 70s, was so varied. Yeah. They were playing so many different styles on one recording, and it's all great. And so you hear a little bit of all of that.
Okay. If you guys don't mind, I'd like you to hang out for the break. I want to continue this conversation, talk a little bit more about your late friend, Joe Sample.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about growing up here in Phyllis Wheatley High School, if that's okay.
Sure, I'm open for that.
All right.
Glad to be back and to be a part of this.
We're so honored, Stix, to have you here, and Vincent, you as well. A quick break, and we'll be right back with more KPRC 2 News Today at 10. We're back with Stix Hooper and Vincent Gardner. So I want to continue this conversation. I want to go on this topic of preserving jazz music, because as you said, Stix, it is uniquely American. It's been accepted around the world. Why is it so important to keep the music alive?
It's so important because music itself is such a great element in our world. I mean, it is the only thing that does not require translation in terms of verbals or language speaking or whatever. Your ear is the translator. And I've said, if you're in Berlin, Tokyo, Hamburg, Rome, or wherever, you know, it doesn't matter, Hungary, the music speaks for itself, and people can relate to that as human beings to assimilate that fact.
And Vincent, through Jazz Houston, how is your work, moving in that direction to make sure that we don't lose what we've built in jazz music? Well,
my wife and I, we formed the organization 7 years ago. And the purpose was, of course, to give it a basis for support, so we can not only have, form an ensemble to play the music and further it, but also to create opportunities for the youth to be able to learn about it and to perform it and to learn and to meet and learn other youths that are into the same thing. It was a great experience of mine when I was a kid. I learned so much from my peers when I was 15 and 16 that it's great for them to be around people their age that are also interested in jazz. Yeah. So we Jazz Houston, we provide concerts throughout the year with the Jazz Orchestra, the Jazz Houston Orchestra. We just finished playing at the Kennedy Center 2 weeks ago, and did a concert with the Houston Symphony for the Nutcracker in last December. And we're finishing up our season with the Joe Sample concert this year. And then, of course, we have the Youth Orchestra, the Jazz Houston Youth Orchestra, which runs throughout the academic year. Audition-only ensemble, 21-piece big band. And after we perform throughout the year, and we bring them on a trip to collaborate with other youth jazz orchestras, and we're taking them to San Francisco in June.
It's incredible. You think of the young musicians, and a lot of time it just takes that one spark, right? Stix, do you remember back to some of maybe the teachers that made a difference in your life when you were just learning music?
Oh, yes. Well, really, it really started for as the teacher, the influence was Sammy Harris at Phyllis Wheatley. And in those days, the public school system was really something that was very much an umbrella of your educational process. And he was an exceptional person, both in terms of his musicianship and both of his knowledge of being able to teach students. And we were fortunate to be under the umbrella of him. Myself, Joe Sample, Wilton Felder, Hubert Laws, and a lot of other people that have come from Houston. We're fortunate to experience working with him or being taught by him. So that was really something.
And without that teacher, does the Crusaders even get together? Maybe?
Yeah, we were inspired because what he was doing, we would get together and play individually, because he had motivated us to really continue to develop our music, you know, and our craftsmanship, and to be good musicians.
I think what's so cool too is tomorrow you're going to be playing a concert, right, for some of the Wheatley students.
Yes.
And this is really an opportunity to give back in a different way. What do you hope that they take away from tomorrow?
What they hope that they take away is that music can be such a great thing in their lives, even if they don't want to make a career out of it, to be knowledgeable and appreciate what goes on with musicians as they execute on their instruments, as they write arrangements, as they create compositions and those things, which for me, being a percussionist, drummer primarily, because I had those experiences, I was able to write compositions. I wrote a song for B.B. King called Never Make Your Move Too Soon, and many other things that I've written that have been recorded. You know.
And I know that for a lot of you players back in the day, you played in a lot of different bands for a lot of people. Joni Mitchell, Jackson 5, Steely Dan, I mean, like these bands at the time, and you realize there's a lot of players that maybe people didn't know were on those records.
Yeah, that is true. That is true, because, and again, we were, and that doesn't sound pretentious, I hope, we were in demand as musicians to come in, and whether it was working with those other musicians or artists, or working within structures of film and whatever. I worked on a lot of the films, so did Joe and I. We were in demand, and I worked on Enter the Dragon and with Henry Mancini and all those things. Did commercials with other artists like Lena Horne and all that stuff. So it was good because it expands your horizon, you know, and helps you with your creativity, but yet you can still keep your individuality, but yet you have expanded yourself that people appreciate your musicianship.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's been a great career, and I'm just so honored to meet you, and you as well, Vincent. I wish you both luck tonight. I hope it's a fantastic show. I know you're going to bring the house down.
We're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Stix Hooper and Vincent Gardner of Jazz Houston tonight at the Hobby Center, 7 p.m., and tickets are still available. Folks, this was a dream interview come true. We'll be right back.